I survived, y'all. I survived my first month of flying as a new flight attendant. We made it. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Priscilla. Welcome back to my next location. I am a new Seattle-based flight attendant. In today's video, I will be sharing with you guys my first month of flying experience working with a major US airline. Your girl made it. We made it through. We came through. In between the hustle and the bustle, we survived and we are here. And I'm here to share my experience from how my month one started, how it went, and how I am right now, because I'm currently in month 2 because we are in June right now, and my first month of flying started at the end of April and then the entire month of May. It's been interesting. I will say that I've never been a flight attendant before. I've never flown. I've never worked in a major US airline company. Of all the jobs that I've done, flight attendant was not one of the roles that I've taken up. This is my very first time, and as a new person into the industry, this is my perspective. And this was my experience. First of all, I started off right after training. I started off my flying by being put on reserve. And unlike other airline companies where you're on reserve for some months, some few months, some years, for us, we are assigned 6 days of reserve every single month as a flight attendant, unless you get to the seniority or until you get to the seniority level where you don't get assigned 8 days again. 8 days once again are reserve days. So I did get 6 days right out of training. However, because my training was towards the end of April, part of that 6 days bled into May. So in May, I ended up with 9 8 days instead of the typical 6 8 days for the reserve days. However, as a new flight attendant, I don't really care. I don't mind. I don't even know what's happening half the time because I'm new. Because so much is going on. But one thing I will say is it was pretty smooth. I was anxious from the beginning. Anxiety was a huge factor for me the first few weeks, especially the first week, because although we put our numbers, our contact information in the system and everything for school crew scheduling to call us when needed, I had never been called. So my anxiety was more so around the fact that, are they calling the right number? Am I being called and I'm missing the call? Like, what's going on? What's happening? But eventually, once crew scheduling called me for the first rotation, I knew that, okay, they have my number. If they need me, they can call me. I'm not missing any calls or rotation assignments or anything, so we're good to go. So that was the first point for me. Once I got that first call, because mind you, even though I was on reserve and I expected to be used because I was new, I did not get used the first day of the start of my reserve days. So I was like, oh my God, do they have the correct number? Are they calling the correct number? Am I missing a call? What's going on? But once they called me the next day, I was like, okay, they have my number. All is well. It's safe. We're good. It's clear. Is it clear? So I knew that everything was good. So after that point, it was more so my anxiety was around the fact that doing things correctly, not messing up. When it comes to arming and disarming doors, I feel like the training was so effective that that's like on go. But the other things that you have to learn while you're on the job, understanding the job, being able to pack properly, being able to get to the airport on time, trying to figure out when to wake up, how to wake up. And my report times were very early in the morning. So if you miss an alarm, you're in trouble. So that was a lot from the beginning. But so far, it's been great. I have adjusted pretty properly. I think at this point, I have a good understanding of my timing and how to use my time and stuff like that, the report time, signing in, what to do when you're on reserve and stuff like that. So it's been good so far with it. My other anxiety was getting to the airport, because I am that person that never wants to go to the airport unless I have to. And now that I work at the airport, I was always so anxious, like parking, getting to the airport and the chaotic. But the funny thing is, the more you go to the airport, the more it becomes normal, the more it becomes easy, or the more it appears to be like a supermarket, like the way you would walk to Target or Walmart and stuff like that. So I think I've eased into understanding, and just me being able to walk around and figure my way out or get used to the airport that I work out of. The other thing that I do also appreciate is the fact that I don't park directly at the airport. So I park at the parking lot, the employee parking lot, which is not at the airport. And then I take a shuttle from the parking lot to the airport. And I love that because it allows me to ease myself into the job and into the chaos that's usually at the airport. The other thing is, since I'm talking about parking right now, is dealing with parking. The airline company that I do work for do give us parking services, I guess. So we do use the airport parking, employee parking lot, where you can park your vehicle for 3 days or however long you're traveled for, and then you can come back and then go. And they do, like I said, run a shuttle service that takes us from the parking lot to the airport. However, before I got that card or my access to use that parking lot, I had to find parking myself, and that was on me. So good thing for me was that when I was going to get my CJO, the parking services that I used, the parking lot services that I used, I continued to use them, and they were great. When I was going to get my CJO, they were awesome. I was able to park my vehicle and clear and good. So because I had that already established, I was able to continue using them. Plus, I think our airline has a partnership with them that allows them to give us a discount as well. So that came in handy too. But that was parking issues, and that's settled. Now I understand the employee parking lot. I know where it is. It's easy for me to go in. Everything is good. The other thing also is adjusting to different time zones. I haven't gone internationally yet, but even within the United States, certain regions has a different time zones, and I'm on the West Coast. So when I go to the East Coast, I literally gain additional 3 hours, and then if I fly back home, obviously it's my time zone. But just adapting to that, because that impacts your ability to sleep when you're away from home and stuff like that. However, like I've always said, once I'm tired, I'm going to bed. I am sleeping. However, to my surprise, at least the first week or the first 2 weeks or the first week and a half, I would literally just fall asleep and wake up 3 hours later, or fall asleep and wake up 4 hours later, and that was not good because I love my sleep. So when I'm deprived of it, I'm pissed off. But but yeah, that was a struggle. I would just wake up after 3 hours of sleep and I'm like, what the hell is going on? I better go back to bed. Yeah, that's what we're doing. But that was a little bit of an issue that I had from the beginning. I was like, what's happening? But I think it was my body just adjusting to sleeping in the hotel room, and then also different time zones and stuff like that. So now it's good. I'm able to get enough rest and stuff like that. So that's settled. So moving on from there, on one of my rotations, I think I literally worked that rotation again, if I'm correct. Yeah, I believe so. But on one of the rotations that I was working in my first few months, our crew, one of the flights got canceled, so we had to get deadhead. Deadheading is when the airline company flies you to a different location, either to work a flight or just to get you in position to do another job or a rotation or whatever it is that they want you to do. So for us, we were supposed to work a flight from one point to the other, and then from that point to another, but the one from our starting point got canceled. So they deadheaded us to the location. So they flew us on company's time. You're getting paid for that flight, mind you, but you're not working that flight, just to get us in position to work that flight from, I think, from LA to Vegas, and then from Vegas to back home, which is Seattle. So even though I was put on to deadhead for whatever reason, because they can do whatever it is they want to do, I got pulled from my deadhead and made to work that flight. Personally, I didn't care. I'm not pressed about it. I was new. I'm still flying. The more opportunity to work a flight I get, the better it is for me, because I wanted to learn and put whatever it is that I had been trained on into practice as soon as possible. That way I don't lose it, or that way I can then on from there get better at it. So I wanted to practice as soon as possible. So even though I got pulled to work that flight, I didn't mind it. So keep that in mind as a new flight attendant or anybody with a very low seniority. You might be deadheading or supposed to deadhead on a flight, and you might potentially get pulled to work that flight. Take it in good faith. Do not get mad. Don't get offended. Don't get hurt. Don't feel bad. Just take it as a learning opportunity for you. See the positive angle of the situation. So that happened to me in my first month as well. Honestly, so far, I've spoken to some friends of mine whose first month, first week, first 21 days, first few days have been a lot. They've had medicals, they've had issues, like they've had issues. So I am highly and so grateful that everything has been smooth for me. Those issues are bound to happen because that's what we're trained for, to deal with those situations. However, when you're new, you're not looking forward to those situations. You barely understand the basics of the job. So to have those emergency things happen to you in that moment when you're learning to understand the basic or the nitty-gritty of the job can be quite stressful. But I do appreciate, and I'm here for all of my crew members who pulled through and who survived. So kudos to you guys. You've done amazing, and keep the fire burning. But I have been fortunate, thank God. I am not jinxing. Where is the wood? I am knocking on wood right now that everything has been so great. The closest I got to having a medical situation, for example, was a customer who were very self-aware. They were very self-aware. They knew that they were feeling the reaction that they were feeling, and they were so intuitive enough that they literally alerted us and told us that, hey, they need to get out the flight because they feel like they're having a medical situation. So I appreciate that customer for being so self-aware and knowing that they were not in the best condition to fly. Because mind you, if that happens, although it's just one person that's going through the situation, it typically affects everybody else on the plane, and it can be difficult for people. So because you're stuck in this tube with this person, we're in the air, there's nowhere to go than to land, and landing is not instant. We can't just drop out from the sky and land. The thing is schedule and dealing with 8 days. As I've said, I'm new, so I don't even understand the whole swapping, picking, dropping trips and all that good stuff. My focus mainly was just adapting to the flying situation and just the takeoff, the landing, the motion sickness, and all that good stuff. So schedule-wise, my flights were okay. I didn't get any crazy flights or anything, but remember, this is a base-related situation. I probably happened to be at a base where our flights or our combination of flights were not too crazy, so that worked out for me. Plus, I did not pick up any extra flights or shifts or trips or anything because I wanted to slowly ease myself in. So I was strictly working the things that I was assigned. Nothing more, nothing less. I took my days off that I was given as I should and rested throughout as well. Dealing with cancellations. So far, cancellations haven't been that bad. The worst thing the cancellations have caused for me is being deadheaded, and that's happened I think twice in my first month. So I'm not too crazy. I haven't gotten rerouted or anything else. But one thing I will say is I know people speak ill of those cancellations and rewrites, which are bound to happen during summer flying and stuff like that, but I'm always here for the positive angle. If I get rerouted or canceled, I'm stuck somewhere for a few hours or whatever, I'm gonna try and edit some videos, record some videos, or put together some content for TikTok or IG, because I'm a content creator, so I can do something else. Or just unwind by watching videos and just relaxing. But I know it can be tough as flight attendants, but it does come with a job, and unfortunately we have to suck it up and keep pushing. What else? How has month one been? The other thing is meal prepping. And I do have videos that I'm going to post probably before this one where I share my experiences during my trips and my rotations for the few months. But meal prepping has been a really huge factor and a really good one for me. Immediately I got out of training, I bought a lunch box and then also ice boxes as well. And typically I take 2 dinners with me, and then I have other meals that are like dry or do not require refrigerating that I can eat instantly as well. And I do take breakfast like oats or cereal as well. So, and the milk that I like powdered milk, so my milk situation is powdered milk for my cereal, so it's powdered, so I don't have to worry about refrigerating it or anything. But do what works for you, but I will say do meal prep, because meal prepping, one, allowed me to save money, and then secondly, if I end up not going out on my layover because I'm probably tired, then I already have food or already have backup. I don't have to spend so much money on hotel meals. Even though we get a discount, how much of a difference is 20% going to make? Tell me in the comment section below. But meal prepping is another thing that helps me stay healthy as well, because I know what's in the meal that I'm bringing, so I know that for sure nothing will go wrong because it's something I eat already at home or I cooked myself. Because you flying, new conditions, new places, new situations, that can all make the normal for you become abnormal. So whatever you can do to protect yourself, you do so. And for me, meal prepping was one of them. Just cooking my own meals so that I know that I have food on deck. This actually ties into motion sickness. So that was a huge struggle for me, because during my training flight, I felt uncomfortable the whole time due to motion sickness. But that was also linked to the fact that there was turbulence the whole time. Both training flights, there were turbulence. I had 2 turns and they all had turbulence. So, and turbulence is not my best friend right now. But in addition to flying so much within a short period of time, it made it worse. But I did talk to a senior mama, so having that conversation, which was like, oh yeah, you're going to adapt. It's just that the conditions you're under right now is this and this and that. And it was true. because once I got out and I actually started working my trips, although I felt the pressures and the movement in my body whenever we would take off and land, if I had eaten properly and I was drinking a good amount of water, it wasn't as bad. I could feel it, but it wasn't bad where it's out of control and stuff like that. And yes, there were moments where I felt sick, like I felt nausea and all of that, but didn't really throw up, but I felt those things. So when I had that conversation with that senior mom, she was like, oh, give it 30 days. For her, she said that for the first 30 days when she was flying, she would actually get sick and get vertigo afterwards too. Like she would get sick, and then the biggest fear is like you quit your job. For me personally, I quit my job months even before I became a flight attendant. I literally took a break from work because I needed a break from work. But her concern was like, imagine quitting your job, going through training, doing all this, just to come and do a job and figure out that your body just doesn't like the job. So that was her biggest fear. But she said after 30 days, gone, she was good. And honestly, it's like magic. Like, I am so glad that I took my time in my first month. And please do it. Whether you are okay flying or not, this is different. You, in a days, depending on what rotation you're working, you might work 4 flights in a day, 4 legs in a day. You can fly so much in a day that you've never flown before in a month. So this is different. So take it easy on yourself. I can't stress this enough, because all I did my first month was to work what I was scheduled to work and whatever I was assigned on my 8 days. That was all I did. Nothing extra, no extra trips. And it worked. It was good, because by the end of May, whenever the plane took off, I didn't feel anything. So I was even surprised, because all of a sudden I noticed I was on one of my flights and the plane took off, and I was like, oh, this felt normal. I didn't feel anything. So I even thought it was because of the way the pilot took off. Maybe I had a good pilot or whatever. Then it happened again on landing. I was like, oh, this felt normal. And once we're in flight, it's pretty normal. It feels like you're on land. I don't feel any different. But when there's turbulence, then it starts to happen. That shaking and that drop and fall and all that pressure changes and stuff like that can go crazy sometimes. But typically, even when I'm in elevators, I feel it. When an elevator goes up or descends or ascends or whatever, I feel the movement and stuff like that in my body, because I'm not frequently on elevators. Literally, my last rotation that I did, I think from the ending of May to 2nd June or 1st June or whatever, takeoff and landing were great. I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel any discomfort. But what I did realize is that if I didn't get enough sleep or if I did not eat well, I would feel some sort of discomfort, like uneasiness, but not like motion sickness where I'm like feeling uncomfortable and all of that, or I'm not feeling good at all. So I have adapted, or I've gotten to the point where whatever my body was adjusting to is being favorable right now. So this is all to say that once you go on that training flight, or when you start flying and you're feeling sick or you're feeling any sort of discomfort, don't be alarmed. Don't take it one day at a time. Take your time and don't rush the process. I know when you're out of training, when you see that base pay almost being at $34, $35, and knowing that you can potentially make so much money, and then knowing that there's so many flights on the open time board or swap board that you can pick up, prioritize your well-being first. Because once you take care of yourself from the beginning and you adapt well to the process or to the job, you can potentially take more trips later. The trips are not going anywhere. There's always going to be trips on open time. So for the first few months, I beg, I plead, I am on my knees, take it easy on yourself. It's for your own good. Because right now, because of the way I felt, I'm like, oh, now I can actually pick up more trips because I feel good. I feel my body's adjusting and all of that, so I can gradually pick up an extra trip. And even with that, ease yourself into it. I remember the first move I made this month was I was assigned a 2-day trip, and I swapped it for a 3-day trip. So I just went from 1 day, 2 days of flying to 3 days. So that was the first thing I did. Ease yourself into it. If you want this job long term, you have to ease yourself into it, because if you've watched videos of other flight attendants sharing the reasons why people quit early, it's typically because the job is stressful, the pay is not good. Those things are part of it, because people rush into it and do so much right from the start. And I see why, because you've been out of a job for like 6 weeks for training, and then you get back on the job, and if you don't take a lot more flights, you feel like you're not earning, because the first month's pay is not that great, because training pay is it's a whole mess. It takes at least a month or two before you actually start seeing your flight attendant pay. So keep that in mind. But I will say ease yourself into it, because it's better to ease yourself in than to rush and do so much, earn so much money, only to spend all that money on medications or medical bills. So choose your battles. I can officially say that I have adapted. My body is now gotten used to the flying. Obviously, I still need a lot more flying so that it can understand what's happening. But one thing I know is that it's making me attempt to understand what's happening. It is adapting. My body understands what's going on now. And I'm so happy. I'm so grateful. Like, I was on my last flights and I felt good. I didn't feel anything, especially during takeoff and landing. And I was like, okay, then maybe I can do more than 2 legs in a day. Because of that feeling the first 2 weeks, I was like, no, for month June, let me bid for 1 to 2 legs per day, nothing too crazy. But I'm glad I did it anyway, because it still gives me the opportunity to ease myself into the job. I'm not rushing anywhere. And yeah, I do plan on picking maybe extra trips in the month of June. I'm still looking. I do have another 2-day trip that I plan on swapping for maybe a 3-day or international or something. Overall thoughts on month 1, it's been good. The job has been okay. Typically, whenever I started the jobs that I've quit in the past, I usually see the red flags like right from the beginning. Like the first time I start the job, I see something and I feel like, oh, this is not it, but I pushed through it anyway. And then after a while, I did, because I'm not loyal to any company. I'm loyal to Princella only, because only Princella can count on Princella. That's all. So, but this one so far, my only issues obviously was the motion sickness. But even with that, my solution was, if I could drop my trips and not fly as much, I would do it, because I'm a content creator. There's something else that I do outside of flying. And honestly, I got this job because of the flexibility of the time, so I can focus on those things. So that wasn't a deal breaker for me, but I'm glad my body has adapted and is understanding what's going on and adjusting smoothly. So yeah, I know you can literally pick as many trips as you want. Like, there are some schedules out there that literally have 1 day off in a week and they're flying throughout the other days. But me personally, I've done jobs where I did 200%, where I was like bam, bam, bam the whole time, and it did not end well, because at a point you break, because your body needs a break. So understanding that concept, I'm not here to kill myself. Like, I'm taking it easy. I'm gliding through. That being said, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for supporting me. Month 1 has been great. I survived. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, give the video a thumbs up and share the video, guys. Share the video. Leave a comment in the comment section below as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you're currently in training, all the best to you. Get those wings. If you're going through the application process, like I said in the beginning of the video, I do have a playlist for you in the description box below. Tap on it and get some tidbits on how to be successful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.